All right, let's see what the statement says. I am no longer CEO of Panda. I will no longer be a part of the Smash community. Okay, wow. I do not wish to return. The community deserves the truth, and I'm not afraid to call out the names I have to. The private information of myself and members of Panda have been leaked online. This has gone too far. Yes, that is true. That is actually fucked, and that should have never happened. If there's anyone who is interested in purchasing my shares of Panda, please reach out to the company. Divesting is a complex process that takes time. Okay, so he is trying to share his ownership, which I agree that's what should happen. For a quick summary of the actual truth, here's a message after notes I took during a conversation with a TO on April 14th, 2022. Summary of actual truth. Here is... Okay, so this is a TLDR. Per somebody. Gimmer and Ken hate you, man. Tell me something for real. This is apparently what stopped him from signing earlier. Ken said that you said you'd kill everyone who doesn't work with you. Is that true? Yeah, so turns out Ken is spreading shit. Per Ken, I don't like Alan, but if they're really offering all of this, then even I'd take it. Per Gimmer, how long have we been working together? 8 years, and you're really going to do this to us? It was to the point that Blank even asked Blank, how do you really feel about Panda? Do you have any hesitations? To which Blank said he has none. I'm a little confused by what I'm reading here. Without the names, it's kind of hard to follow. I'm not going to lie. You've missed nothing. I just started. So I was able to assuage his fears and explain that I am not and have not threatened to kill events. Oh, I see. I see. This is somebody messaging Alan about things that other people are saying. Okay. I also told him I'm not threatened by Smash World Tour and have no reason to want to kill them. Okay, so was this recent? Oh, Thursday, April 14th. Okay. I'm not threatened by SWT and have no reason to want to kill them. Explained that Nintendo can't license events on an unlicensed circuit, being the real reason why our circuit is exclusive. Okay. I guess he's explaining why he wanted the events to strictly exist on Panda's global circuit, as opposed to being on both. Can't license events on an unlicensed circuit. I additionally explained that I have offered many ways to work with BTS. And I'd rather work with them, not against them, but they just won't talk to us. So yes, Blank does believe us, because the shit Ken was telling him is counter to everything we've ever done as a company and who we are as people, but that explains a bit of why he was holding back. He also mentioned that Ken BTS feels very threatened by us, and so does SWT. Sorry, I got my music up. Better? I have no thoughts on what to do, and I really don't care very much. It's clear that Ken is trying to actively undermine us, but considering that everyone is willing to work with or talk with us so far, I don't think that he's been very successful. Okay. The event and claims that I will be making are true. Some have evidence, some do not, as most of this is verbal conversations. In those cases, I do my best to recall details from memory and find corroborating evidence from internal chat logs with timestamps. I encourage you to read everything presented as to be better informed of the circumstances surrounding the Smash community currently. I ask you to read the full statement before coming to any conclusions. Do not, under any circumstances, use information here to harass any persons. Fair. Broken down as follows. Intro. Smash World Tour, VGBC Beyond Summit, TO strong arming, and the first 3 weeks, Nintendo conclusion. Okay. Sorry this took me so long to write. Please consider that SWT leadership did not release a statement until a week after hearing from Nintendo. These things take time to properly construct. Correct. True. I know people have been waiting to hear from me, but between being blindsided by the shutdown, I've said on the record that I do believe that Panda had nothing to do with the shutdown. If anything, for the reason that there's no way that Panda is so in Nintendo's ear that they could get Nintendo to do something like that. Nintendo doesn't fucking listen to anybody. Okay. So I do believe that. But between being blindsided, extreme harassment, again, I do believe that that did happen. Death threats, Jesus, and fleeing my own home due to doxing, it's been hard to focus. I would never wish this on anyone, as I'm currently writing this after filing a 3rd police report. Jesus, come on. Yeah. To the current and former members of Panda, I'd like to particularly apologize to my team and to Panda as a whole for my initial response. I have no excuses. I froze up. I had panic attacks for the first time in my life, and I was paralyzed for the first few days. I let our message go through multiple PR firms instead of crafting it myself. I figured, yeah, that was not a good public statement. Also, I have yet to see a PR firm handle any kind of statement well lately. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm starting to feel like PR firms have lost their touch because the internet has made people way too educated to fall for like fucking legalese and corporate bullshit. Like the corporate lingo that you see in public statements. I feel like people are just too smart for that, and it always ends up bad. I've never seen it good. This is the kind of statement we should have had from the beginning. I listened to them telling me not to step down despite my team asking. So the PR firm was also suggesting this. You see what I'm saying? Like it's their job to do this, but how in touch are they with the scene? Do you think people that are in the Smash community work at the PR firm? They do not. They don't know shit. I think if he stepped down right away, this could have gone so much better. My hesitation to act, step up, and fight back didn't just hurt me, it hurt you all. True. I hope you all know how deeply you matter to me, and I would never want anything like this to happen to anyone I care about. I believe that. 100%. This is the most transparent public statement in my life. Okay. Some context. Our negotiations with Nintendo started in 2018 and ramped up in 2019. Getting to the Panda Cup was a long process with plenty of late nights and dozens of iterations. Back in October 2019, I called Justin, owner of Super Smash Con, talk about Panda Cup negotiations. Justin was one of the first TOs I ever reached out to about negotiations because I respected him. I told him that it seemed like Nintendo was interested in giving Panda a circuit license, and that SEC is an incredible event that I think could become the biggest part of it all. 3 months later, I heard that VGBC is starting something called the Smash World Tour. So, 2018. Okay, I see. So they've been in talks with Nintendo for that long. Because the Panda Cup didn't get announced till, what, 2021 or something? 3 months later, I heard VGBC starting the Smash World Tour and discovered Justin was a part of founding it. They never talked to Nintendo about it. I mean, they'll pretend they're your friends and then shut you down. It's like you're placing yourself on their radar. And that's a terrible thing. Caught wind before the launch, and SWT leadership was explicitly told to wait until they have approval to announce the SWT in 2020. Justin and VGBC knew this and launched anyway, aware of the consequences. Yep, nothing new. And I'm not even mad about it. I read this and I'm like, yeah, good for them. What options have they left us at this point? Even before all this happened, they were still like absolute pieces of shit for like decade plus. The SWT was the perfect gambit for VGBC. Information came to us from an anonymous source all the way back in 2020. VGBC was feeling pushed out of the community from losing so much ground to BTS. They wanted something of their own, and so they came up with the SWT Gambit. SWT doesn't get shut down. VGBC gets their own circuit without the years of negotiation with Nintendo. SWT uses the threat of social media backlash against Nintendo to pressure Nintendo into giving them a license. This is making Smash World Tour sound badass. I don't know. I enjoy this. I think this is what every event should have been doing. Like, this is like guerrilla tactics because this is the game that Nintendo has forced us to play. So I don't think this is bad. SWT gets shut down by Nintendo, and now VGBC is the martyr of the community due to Nintendo. Then the community will rally behind their other events to support them. VGBC wins no matter what. Okay, like, I see what the implication is here, but in the end, you still have to be willing to run a year-long circuit, get the negotiations going with all the partner tournaments to get this going. Like, you still have to get TOs to agree. You still have to organize it. VGBC can fail. There's a fourth option. If VGBC runs a dog shit tour, then they fail that way. All right? So it's like, it's not like this is like selfish. I think this is actually the way you should have done it. I mean, just from what I have here. Obviously, there's more to go, but I'm just giving my thoughts as I read. VGBC also knew that Nintendo has never issued a license to any event with the name Smash in it. Okay, I didn't know that. Is that true? Nor have they ever licensed a circuit before. That we know. Oh, we know that. We know about that. Shoutouts to Anonymous Smasher too. VGBC knew both of these and launched the Smash World Tour. Anyway, to recap, Smash World Tour leadership had intimate knowledge that Nintendo was working in an officially licensed circuit with Panda months before launching. They were told to wait for approval but announced anyways, and knowingly did multiple things that has prevented Nintendo from issuing licenses to events before. Okay, so I don't know about this line here about knowingly doing things that has prevented Nintendo from issuing licensing to events before. I don't know about that. VGBC could be doing some shit that Nintendo hates, and thus Nintendo decides to not help other events. But who gives a fuck in my mind? Because Nintendo's so dog shit, you just gotta play around their fucking game. Also, you could do things that Nintendo likes and they still don't give fucking licenses out. Fuck whatever concept of trying to work with Nintendo to make things work. I don't buy into that. You're talking to the wrong person if you're going at that angle. So I'm reading this and I'm just thinking, whatever, right? Like, in my mind, Smash World Tour did what they had to do to get something going. Also, if they had intimate knowledge of somebody working, specifically Panda, I guess, they probably had knowledge that it was Panda, working on an officially licensed circuit months before launching, I still don't think that means anything considering Nintendo's history of fucking dragging shit on for years and years and years and then ghosting them at the last second and deciding they're not doing it. As an organization who wants to run a circuit, are they supposed to not move forward because you're talking to Nintendo now? What does that even mean? In what world does that guarantee that Nintendo's actually going to come through and the wait was worth it? I think by this point in 2018, we knew damn well that there's no point in waiting around for Nintendo. You do what you got to do. This doesn't strike me the way that it's reading. Okay, fast forward to 2022, when SWT leadership said they were having positive talks with Nintendo. I entirely believe they were chatting with Nintendo, and I'm sure Nintendo's statement saying they valued SWT for a partnership is true. I'm sure Nintendo used very purposeful language when talking to SWT leadership, that things are possible because anything is possible until the evaluation is complete. Yeah. Another note is that SWT leadership knew roughly how long these sorts of licenses realistically take. Between the time of me speaking to Justin in 2019 and 2021, when Panda's partnership with Nintendo of America was announced, they knew that the process to get an officially licensed circuit should take at least 3 years. That is how long an exclusively North America circuit took to get off the ground. Yet they were surprised when they were told a license for a worldwide circuit wasn't issued. Within a year, it doesn't add up. It was around this time, in late January, when we submitted our license application for 2022, after working with Nintendo to best meet their specifications. I understand the points that Alan is trying to make, at least at the beginning here. But all of this goes to shit when you understand that Nintendo is just an absolute dog shit company that isn't actually looking to work with people. Like, they were working with Twitch, right? And they took many years, and then what happened? They just got ghosted. And then nothing happened. And that's with Twitch. They could issue it hella quick. Yeah, it doesn't mean that they won't. They can do that. They can do anything they fucking want. There's no reason to play by Nintendo's rules, so I just feel like that takes the sting out of any of these statements. As for the Smash World Tour 2022 event cancellation, I do not know why SWT leadership decided to shut the event down. Okay. Oh, this better be good. This line right here, the follow-up better be good. I know Nintendo corroborated to me on several occasions the same thing they said in their public statement. That they verbally told Smash World Tour leadership that they would take no action to shut down Smash World Tour. Oh, Nintendo told you. Oh, you should have just said so. Nintendo would never lie. They wouldn't say anything different just to protect themselves. They never would. And I know Nintendo was genuinely surprised behind closed doors when they found out that SWT leadership did to their own event. We're really sticking to this, huh? No, I saw Gimmer and Matt at main stage. They were so happy. They're just having the best time. They just felt great about canceling everything. They just chose to lose all that money. Okay. I have no doubts in my mind that Nintendo's telling the truth about what they've... Why? Why do you have absolute faith in Nintendo? I know that my relationship with people that work at Nintendo is very different from Alan's. Alan has talked to them for much longer, knows them. They're making a cool movie. But in my mind, I'm going to trust the people that I've had personal relationships for many years that are not as like just fucking taped to the wall by legal jargon and legal consequences as Nintendo is. Nintendo has every reason to be careful in their wording. I want to see this in writing. Maybe there's evidence. I don't know. What we're expected to believe is that VGBC purposely shut down their own event, lost hella money on purpose because they wanted to. For what reason, I do not understand. Maybe he'll explain later. But that makes no sense. And then on top of that, for this to also be true, we also have to believe that Nintendo is just an honest company that's just going to communicate things clearly with no hidden language, which they have proven time and time again to constantly require you to read between the lines because they won't say shit directly. I've been recently informed that the main hotel in San Antonio listed in the Smash World Tour Discord did not have any pre-existing block or any expectation of large groups this weekend. There was no block canceled. It simply never existed. Already proven false. How'd y'all prove it? So far, this is not... Okay, sorry. Wrong link. Oops. Oh, what's going on there? Here's your proof, chat. Here's your fucking proof. I don't know about the rest of the statement's legitimacy, but to claim the event was never going to happen because of no hotel block is ridiculous. People were given stipends, flights for the event prior to its cancellation. The TPC venue was booked that weekend. Money received? Yeah. All right. Stipends? Done. Here's a big question for you. Why now? Why did they need and apply for a Nintendo license specifically for Smash World Tour 2022? The SWT leadership ran quite a few events in 2021, including their championship, without a license. VGBC has run several glitch events, Double Down, Apex, and Pound, all in 2022 without a license for any of them. So why does their 250,000 prize pool event, the single sponsor in the middle of cutbacks, that ran unlicensed last year, need Nintendo license this year? I know sponsors value Nintendo license highly, and by getting more sponsors, events become more financially sustainable. Okay, so here's what's being suggested. The thought is, if they've been running unlicensed, why are they doing it now? They haven't needed it before. Well, an easy answer to that is that they were brought in by Nintendo and they thought themselves that they were going to get shut down, right? Basically, when people operate without a license, they're doing so hoping that Nintendo doesn't notice or shut them down. Nintendo always notices, but they're hoping they don't get shut down, right? See no evil, hear no evil, etc. The thing is, when you operate like that, you're always running the risk. So eventually Nintendo did call them in and told them, yo, big news, we're not actually shutting you down. We actually don't mind if both of you continue on, separately. Like, we don't need to shut you down. This isn't an exclusive partnership. You should apply for a license. And then that's what they did. Like, they were encouraged by Nintendo to apply for a license. Am I wrong? Now, what is being implied here is that there was a $250,000 prize pool guaranteed, and then that the sponsor was probably struggling. The implication here is that they couldn't pay the money, so they wanted to find a way out, and they wanted Nintendo to bail them out. So I personally talked to Gimmer and Matt Apostle at Mainstage, and I could tell you that they were very excited about plans for next year. They were literally plotting a new circuit. They were getting events in order. They were literally building further on top of this 250. So, like, if they are worried about the 250,000, they certainly weren't doing themselves any favors by starting a brand new circuit for 350,000 the next year. And even in the aftermath of all this, they were still talking about the next year like it was just like they were looking forward to it. They had plans already. This implication is not lining up, but we'll keep reading. Since they were in communication with Nintendo and were verbally told 2022 could continue, they were confused with the mixed messages from the email versus verbal conversation. Okay, if they were confused with the mixed messages from the email versus verbal confirmation, then why didn't they just ask for clarification? They said they did. Just shoot an email back. Nintendo reps work hard. I guarantee you they'd read and respond to the email over the holiday weekend. Wasn't there like an entire several months where they were just not getting responses? Nintendo is a known ghoster. Brother. Also, yeah, they said that time is over. Like, no, they are not the types of people that just respond back. Brother, Gimmer literally told me this was a completely separate thing. Gimmer told me he literally has trouble getting Zane to respond to him. Do you think Nintendo's just going to be on call for my boy Gimmer? No fucking shot. No, this is not accurate in my experience. Now, granted, I never had a license with Nintendo. I never had a circuit with Nintendo. But from everything I've heard from people that I trust, they can't get a hold of Nintendo. It's not that when they decide to start ghosting you, they really fucking ghost you. From what I hear, and from what that statement said, they didn't hear from them until they announced the fucking championships publicly. That then they decided to respond. I promise you that they would have reiterated that while they could not officially approve the event or issue a license, that they would not take action against it. You could say this is he said, she said, and like just two different people's like interpretation of a company's intent, but we're really being asked to trust a multi-billion-dollar corporation that has consistently fucked us over to a degree you cannot imagine and just consistently held us back. And in this statement, we are meant to believe that they actually really meant it this time and definitely wanted to help, and that SWT really just wanted to lose several hundreds of thousands of dollars. I'm not buying it. I'd like to post a statement here given all of this evidence. I've linked together SWT leadership, Justin and VGBC, absolutely knew from the beginning there was a snowball's chance of getting a license agreement. And from the moment they launched SWT in 2020, they were prepared to get shut down. This is true, but this is the way that our scene has operated for the decade plus that we've been dealing with Nintendo shit. It's basically been, do we want to function as a community and do our grassroots shit? Or do we want to just hold everything off until Nintendo decides to help us out, which they've already proven not to? I read this and I'm like, yes, this is true. But that's the way it had to be because Nintendo is dog shit. Everything he said here could apply to any tournament in the past 15 years. Yes. All tournaments have done this. Every tournament that operates, it's prepared to shut down. Now, granted, this was definitely on a bigger stage, more attention for sure. But who cares? That's the way you got to do it. And we've been fiending. Like, this is after years of trying to get a circuit going with the Twitch one failing. Am I going to get upset at someone actually trying just to fucking run it? I think that's baller. I think that's what you're supposed to do. There are far too many inconsistencies for their statement. They're total surprise to be accurate given the knowledge they had beforehand. Not sounding like it. I do not know if they ever plan to run SWT 2022. I do not know how they were paying for it or what revenue they expected to make back on it to make the expenses worth it. I'm making no claims that they did not intend on running it. I am simply pointing out their own words and available information for the many, many different inconsistencies behind the curtain. One question for you, Gimmer. Is partnering with Nintendo really that important to you? You sacrificed PM, now your championship. Oh, shit. You sacrificed PM, now your championship event, and you want to keep trying? Okay, so let me just put this out there. I understand that so many people are pissed off at Gimmer for the PM thing. I want to point out that this was at a different time when we once again, this is on Nintendo's bullshit. We legitimately thought that we had a shot with Nintendo. That is why PM got sacrificed. Yes, that is fucked, but I think people in the community were looking out for the main games, and they thought that this was it. All right, we fucked up. I don't know why I'm saying we. I had nothing to do with any of it, by the way. I just want to make that clear. I've seen how PM hates on Gamer. Please leave me out of this. I have nothing to do with this. But obviously, sacrificing PM and then the championship event are not the same thing. Yeah, I was vigilante, chat. I called the hit on PM. Gimmer is my pawn. You were lied to, and your goodwill is being both weaponized and abused. SWT leadership juxtaposed their entire relationship with Nintendo against actions they claim I took. Actions which, by the way, are completely irrelevant to them getting shut down or Nintendo's behavior. I also agree. Okay, I can say right now that Alan's statements, I haven't read anything false. Now, granted, I think his interpretation of Nintendo's intentions are just dead wrong, but he's telling no lies. I personally thought that including Alan's actions, which I don't know if he's going to try to disprove them. I don't know if he will. I haven't seen it yet in this statement. But if those actions were true, then I am glad that Gimmer and VGBC included it in their statement, even though Panda had nothing to do with the shutdown of the championships for SWT. I believe that. But what could have happened is if they just got shut down and said nothing, then Panda would have been the only game in town, which I think would have been just as bad for the entire community. It would have been terrible for the entire community because they are controlled by Nintendo. So it would have given Nintendo control of our community. And they would have been the only show in town. Monopoly, I don't like it. Not with them, especially in retrospect of all of this. So in my mind, I think it was a good thing to include this irrelevant information about Alan's behavior because it both allowed for there to not be only one game in town? How is me telling TOs that SWT would most likely not receive a license agreement prove any sort of action undermining SWT's relationship with Nintendo? I agree. It has nothing to do with it, but I still think it had to be part of it. Without that, Panda just moves on with the thing, and not only that, more powerful than ever, controlling the community. We honestly lose almost all our hold on our own community if that happens. If they do not include this. So if it's related or not, I don't care. It was important to talk about. How did hundreds of thousands of people make my life a living hell for a week over false equivalency? I agree with that. I don't think that should have ever happened. I don't think all those people getting involved, like doxing and shit like that, should have never happened. I read this statement, the Smash World Tour statement, and I haven't even rewatched my own video on youtube.com/hugs86, by the way. I am very confident that at no point did I say that Panda or Alan had anything to do with the shutdown. In fact, I've said it multiple times on record, saying that I don't think that Panda had anything to do. I have it in private text of me saying, here, I'm literally going to read one off right now. I sent this to my friend Nadine, and I said, I was asked the question, I wonder if it's Panda's fault or Nintendo or both. I've seen arguments for every scenario. I said, I don't think Panda has the sway to make Nintendo do what they did. It was a Nintendo decision for sure, but I'm sure Panda was in their ear. I wonder if he thought he would just be left out of the shutdown. Like if Alan thought he could get them shut down behind the scenes and just win out because no one would know he's involved, right? But then Gimmer knew that even if he couldn't speculate that he was involved, he could bring up the other shit and he'd pay the price too. So basically, I'm saying I don't really think they had anything to do with it. I could see them talking, but I don't think he had anything to do with it. And I think it was important to not let them get away with all of that. I think the decision is 100% Nintendo's. That's it. Both Panda and I, as the former CEO, have done nothing, absolutely nothing to harm SWT in any way, nor sabotage any SWT business efforts, licensing efforts, otherwise, period. So I was able to assuage his fears and explain that I am not and have not threatened to kill events. I also told him I'm not threatened by SWT. Okay. I defended VGBC behind closed doors more times than I can count. I would honestly believe that. Like, let me just be clear here. I genuinely did like Alan as a person. I do think my theory is that he perhaps got lost in the business sauce. But I do believe what he's saying here is true. I've done entire impromptu presentations to Nintendo about VGBC's importance to the community, their history in the scene, and the good things they've done, explaining that they're worth working with. Honestly, I could believe that. When people told me about the terrible things VGBC team were saying behind my back about me throughout the year, I looked at those people and told them I have no ill will towards anyone at VGBC or SWT. I consider Justin, Gimmer, and Apostle equal peers and hope to work together in the future. I even had been asking Nintendo for months to please consider issuing a license to VGBC. I told a countless number of people that we didn't feel SWT was a competitor to the Panda Cup. SWT had their own product, which was fantastic. I would always add, we have a completely different one. They're doing their own thing, we're doing ours, and I wish them best of luck. This became one of my set phrases I repeated meeting after meeting. The exclusivity, right? This is like, I thought I would be like, it'd be too long. No, I'm very intrigued by this. The exclusivity of the Panda Cup was because Nintendo originally couldn't license events that were on an unlicensed circuit, and that we could only work with licensed events. The exclusivity of Panda Cup was because Nintendo originally couldn't license events that were on an unlicensed circuit. We were able to get this rule lifted 6 weeks into the original Panda Cup negotiations, and events on SWT were able to receive a license agreement. So, right, remember how in the original SWT statement, there was the claim that some events were eventually granted mutual licensing to exist on Panda Cup, but those events would also be able to exist on the Smash World Tour, some of them. Our players asked if it's okay for them to go to SWT events, and we encouraged them to go. That makes sense. Our own player won Smash World Tour Championship 2021. Was that Cody? IBW? I could believe some of the stuff. So, like, what I'm seeing here, this could just be miscommunication between the both. Like, this could be hearsay, where SWT did hear from some sources that they trusted that Panda was working this shit, and then Panda on their side was actually trying to advocate for them. This could be misunderstanding or somebody's lying. I am actually probably leaning on misunderstanding. I'm not going to lie. Why would I want it to get canceled? I even encouraged some events to join SWT because it might help their attendance. I agree. I thought SWT was great for the community and did things that the Panda Cup and the North American circuit couldn't do. Plus, the storylines of SWT finale ending of the year back-to-back, burnout aside, was going to be hype. In terms of having prior knowledge of SWT shut down, we moved our finale to the weekend before Christmas. Historically terrible day for travel and events because SWT took our finale date after we placed a hold for it on the Smash calendar. Oh shit. Well, to be fair, Hapster, I have not seen any TOs come out to make any kind of statements. I've only seen BTS come out to address the BTS stuff. So I don't know. It could be TOs just trying to not talk about it. Like, they haven't worked in specifics to corroborate some of the Allen stuff. But yeah, NDAs do exist, etc. We move for them. If we really want to shut them down, knowing for sure that they would be then why would we move to a worse state? I agree. Lots of feedback on this. Is he just proving that he currently messed for dates beyond the summit has changed the date to main stage? I think we could pursue the third weekend of December. Yeah, I don't need proof for that. I believe it. I see. So we're on weeks 1. Okay, yep. They're trying to work for the other dates. Fair. Someone mentions finals date. Well, considering we booked the first, BTS and VGBC scheduled over us with no repercussions, perhaps we have a bit of reason why our date might still be up in the air. Okay, this is just proving that they didn't have any intention of trying to get it shut down. I agree. So I will say what probably should have been stressed in the original SWT statement is that they do not know. I don't know if they could say this, but I would have said, like, I don't believe that Panda actually got us shut down. I just wouldn't think Nintendo and Panda, like, that Panda would be in Nintendo's ear like that. That could have been stressed because it could be interpreted from reading that statement. So basically everyone's just talking about the dates. Okay. Now in terms of motive, we have known since day one that the biggest risk to Panda Cup would be if the SWT gets shut down. We've known that if that ever happened, then Panda would be caught in the explosion as a bystander. Yes, that happened. Simply due to our partnership with Nintendo. Panda Cup has had incredible momentum this year with 5 major sponsors in 5 months. Nearly every major NA Smash tournament joining the circuit from the time we launched. Successful metrics all around. With everything going this well for us, then why would I want SWT to be shut down when I knew that this would be the biggest risk and harm to the Panda Cup? I agree. I also don't think they wanted this. Now, I do believe that if it happened and then nothing, like if the SWT never made any kind of statement about Panda, then Panda would have been just fine. None of it would have mattered for them. I personally don't think that was ever a possibility. I do not have any theories as to why SWT's leadership decided to drag me personally in their statement. I have my theory. I believe that there are TOs that they trust that told, or sponsors, whatever, relationships that VGBC has that told them about Allen's behavior behind the scenes, about like forcing exclusivity, the way they'd handle dealing with other TOs, trying to be the only circuit in town. Whether that information was entirely accurate because it got lost in the mix of people communicating between a lot of different people, right? Like, what do you call it? Fucking, they were playing a game of telephone, right? And the wrong thing gets said? I don't know that. But I believe that SWT put this out there because they were relying on trusted information about Allen's behavior behind the scenes. And then BTS has their own thing about the way that Allen had threatened them. The reason that they dragged them is because they knew that if they left, then Panda would be the only show in town, and that would not be good for the scene. And I completely agree that they could not have been the only show in town, not with Nintendo doing what they do. Does that check out? So, to summarize so far, I do not believe that Nintendo's intentions should have been trusted the way that Allen has been trusting them. I do not believe that Nintendo had any good intentions. I do believe that Nintendo implicitly shut down Smash World Tour. I do not believe that VGBC did it on their own for no reason. And then I do believe that SWT was acting on what they consider to be reliable information and BTS's corroboration for other acts and felt it was necessary to drag Panda down so as to not allow them to just have the only show in town working directly with a very shady character in Nintendo. So that is my theory, and that is my rundown of what's happened so far. Like, this is me being educated on what's going on behind the scenes. I never really created the false equivalency. I spoke to the opposite. So this is, I think, more Allen feeling burned by what happened and with good reason having the false equivalency for himself, but I don't think the false equivalency was universal. I can't speak for everybody. I know that a lot of people that were speaking publicly, the voices were not attaching the cancellation to Alan's behavior. They were just literally attaching it to Nintendo is what I saw the most of. And now that they think that I actually had anything to do with their denial of license, not know why everyone believed. That's not even my argument here. So like I'm reading this and I'm just like, I never even thought this. This might be just the public, like the noobs that like are just acting hastily and don't know shit, don't want to read shit. They're probably just blaming Alan off rip. That's unfortunate. Like I said, it's hard to avoid those people unless you're very, very, very explicit in what you're saying. Ludwig's video sure painted Alan as a puppet master. For that cancellation or for other things? Because I do believe the other stuff. But I never made the attachment of that stuff to Nintendo doing the cancellation. I am not arguing that SWT did not disparage Alan. That statement definitely did do a lot of bad for Alan. Basically, the statement did not say that Alan himself or Panda got the event canceled. I think this is just the result of people just getting mad at the other stuff that happened and then attaching it to this thing that Nintendo did, which I never really did. And I think a lot of people in my position also didn't do. I read it for what it was. I don't think it did. That's me. But I just got fucking incredible reading comprehension. I don't know about you. Watch my review of the first statement on YouTube. So I don't necessarily blame people for misinterpreting it because people just aren't as informed as some other people in the scene. Justin Gimmer Apostle, you and your team have without a doubt played a critical role in the development and growth of the Smash community over the years. No one can ever take that away from you, but you have caused damage to hundreds of people in or associated with Panda, damage to me, damage to your own people, extreme harassment of my family and friends without any shred of remorse, to parties completely irrelevant to what happened. This is the last thing I have to say to you, likely for the rest of our lives. Jesus. You do not and will never deserve the position of community dominance that you keep clawing for. I hope it was worth it for you. Oh, shit. Jesus Christ, dude. By the way, this is a real statement. This is not some like PR bullshit. This is like from the heart and I respect it. I'm not saying I agree, but I respect the directness and honesty, and I do believe that that is exactly how he feels, and I think he is entitled to feel that way, for sure. No part of this is me feeling like Alan is lying about his interpretation of things. I do feel like he believes he was completely unnecessarily taken down for anything. Sidebar, I've been told that someone named LD is claiming I said things. I don't know who LD is, nor do I care. LD, I'm pretty sure owns Beyond the Summit. I think he's like, he literally runs everything. Everything. Never met them in my life. Here's the background of my 2 whole personal interactions this year with BTS, or more specifically, one of the most unsavory of individuals I've ever had the displeasure of interacting with. Chen, aka Hotbit. Yeah, you guys won't know LD, but if you're working with BTS, you would know that, or like even after the statement, then you would find out, right? In 2022, when we first talked to a few TOs with our packages, the original version version 1 design of the Panda Cup backend featured a concept where we would provide unique co-streams of some events, or be the mainstream, depending on the event along with the packages we offered. We wanted to start building a channel that can be a destination for purely competitive Smash in the future. Some earlier TOs said they were in, depending on what BTS said, as they already had an arrangement with them. I said no problem. I was confident I could figure out some sort of win-win solution that helps BTS and use us at the same time. SWT claims that I targeted BTS events that already had deals made, wanting to poach the broadcast rights from BTS. They claimed that I wanted them for free and directly threatened BTS with Nintendo action if they did not comply, so let's talk about that. Okay. Wait, did Ken come out with a whole statement too? I can't do all of them. I can't do all of them. First of all, it's not a coincidence that most of the first few events I reached out to had deals with BTS. They were some of the biggest events of the year. Of course, they were streaming on BTS, but I didn't even know who they were with when I first reached out. Here's a screenshot of me asking some of the earliest TOs. Hey guys, did you say you signed a contract with BTS for LTC and Riptide for 2022? Alan, yes, I did sign a contract with BTS for Low Tide City. Right after you told us there was not going to be a Panda Cup a couple of months ago. He's referring to the Omicron surge delaying Panda Cup to an indeterminate start date. Okay. Onto the initial conversation with BTS, where I met with Chen, and this is the first meeting he was joined by one other person. I went into the conversation with Ken loaded with ideas, around 4 to 5, of different ways we could accomplish our goals while collaborating with BTS, ranging from making a jointly owned channel where the revenue went to BTS, to doing a side stream where we'd give them all the revenue from our channel. We wanted to build a circuit that could be collaborative alongside them wherever they were. And why wouldn't I? BTS is a pillar of the community and sets a new standard for high quality production and smash all the time. So if we could forge a relationship that accomplished both for our goals, then we'd both stand to win. I was doing my best to be cooperative, collaborative, and receptive to their feedback and thoughts. The response I got, unfortunately, was the exact opposite. I was met with, in the simplest terms, stonewalling by Ken. Rejection after rejection, no other ideas or possibilities brought up. Nothing I could say was possible, and there were no alternatives suggested. Just Ken raising his voice at me and being mad that I would even dare to suggest half the things I did. To say the least, it was a frustrating call, but I didn't give up and still wanted to figure out a way to work with them. Even brainstorming with Nintendo about different variations of working with BTS before we had our second call. I'll had to read them and see, but sure. Okay, all right, I'll shoot it over. They're pretty basic catch-all NDAs, okay? Hey, Ken, so I put my head together with Nintendo over the weekend, and we're trying to figure out some things out that could work. But they did mention that broadcast rights here are a gray area and wanted to get in touch with you all while they look into it. I shot him your email. Anyone else I should send as well? No, that's great. Happy to talk to them. Okay. Also, please shoot me over that quote for a remote analysis desk when you have a moment. That would be very helpful. We're figuring out different ways to possibly work with y'all. Let me know if there are other services BTS provides that we should know about as well. We'll add it to the list. Okay. That sounds like a kind conversation. Okay. From SWT statement, BTS had very little motivation to give up the broadcasting rights for free, so he declined to get involved, causing the CEO of Panda to escalate things quickly. After BTS held firm, CEO of Panda warned that they would get Nintendo directly involved, putting broadcast rights for all tournaments in jeopardy. Ken posted the uncropped version of this. I guess since it's relevant right now, can you literally link me right now, the uncropped version of it? Hard to taking this 32-pager seriously, but since I was called out, I'll respond in a thread. Here's me talking to Alan about how running to Nintendo and banging on doors about broadcast rights is potentially an existential threat to the entire scene. Cut off in the screenshot. That's true. Would cut away from main desk to analyst desk between sets most likely. Okay. Would additionally fill dead air for delays, etc. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And for broadcast rights being a gray area, you mean tournament selling broadcast rights? Because we've purchased the broadcast rights to Riptide, Big House, Shine, etc. Twitch buys the platform broadcast from us, and we bought them from tournaments. Okay, so that's just how the business works. They pay the TOs. Twitch pays BTS. That's how they make their money. Both the tournament selling broadcast rights and broadcast being monetized. Been like this for 8+ years. So this is Ken saying that this is the way that things been working. Okay. And then now, I guess what he's saying is that Nintendo is like working shit, right? And he says they have a problem with that now. It's been 100+ events with that. Well, I hope they don't. That'd be pretty catastrophic for every single event. I don't know what they're thinking right now, but yeah, definitely could get rough in some situations. No, Alan. Understatement of the century. Nintendo getting involved gets extremely rough. You let them in on the broadcasting rights, they could literally kill everything. Well, I hope not. That'd be real bad. That's the text, but it's not the crop. Okay. Yes, Alan is like talking to them normally, but I guess he's not really understanding the threat that exists when you try to approach Nintendo with this kind of shit. And Chen is being antagonistic because he doesn't want it to be. You get them involved that closely. With the money, you get them to talk to Twitch about how Twitch cannot allow these broadcasts. Brother, it's over. Does my conversation with Ken after our first call sound like I was threatening to have Nintendo attack them or free broadcasting rights? Also, as you can see, I directly connected Ken to Nintendo as well. Nintendo is not a weapon I can wield. They take their own actions and are their own company. 100% agree with that. That's why I firmly believe that Panda had nothing to do with the SWT shutdown. At best, they might have influenced, not even directly. Just by existing, Nintendo might be like, huh, we could just have this one game in town. Whatever, right? Why people would think that as a multi-trillion-dollar global company would jump? Right. I agree, 100%. I do not think that Nintendo would jump at Alan's suggestions. This is 100% accurate. Yeah. Going to the second conversation with Ken, I had some new ideas. One of my ideas required me talking to Twitch, prompting Ken to explode at me for suggesting I would talk to Twitch, and I had to reassure him I wouldn't do that without permission. I promise I kept. Another idea I had was to enter a multi-year agreement where we'd hire BTS to be our official remote analyst desk at every single stream we did in exchange for being able to stream 3 events this year, but that too was rejected. Basically, I presented a handful of new ideas that were designed to give BTS additional short and long-term revenue. I was met with more stonewalling, more obtuseness, more of Ken's yelling at me. Ken says this part about Ken exploding at him is a flat lie, by the way. Yeah, I will read Ken's tweets, because it's just tweets, right? It's not a whole statement. I could read that after. Between 2 calls, legal issue was flagged by someone else that had, and currently still has, significant implications for the revenue of most major events in the community. And by adamantly refusing to do anything with any other third party, not just us in any way, shape, or form, Ken would be forcing scrutiny of this legal issue to escalate. This is confusing. I'm not sure what's being said here. You know what this reads like? This reads like Nintendo was about to cause a fuss. I think Ken knew that by escalating, like by addressing it, you're acknowledging its existence, and then Nintendo just gets to easily like throw the hammer down. That's what it reads like to me. I was desperate to make that not happen. Escalation is devastating for our entire community. Agreed, but I think ignoring is the way we've approached it, and I think that works. Okay. I begged Ken in the middle of the second call, please, can we figure some way of working together even a little so we could stop that can of worms from opening? I was asking him for his help, for his cooperation. Ken's response, he yelled, let it happen, let the can of worms open. Woo! Who told me this was TLDR? Like, this is great. This is a great read. This is a fire read. Chat, I haven't read a book since R.L. Stein's Goosebumps. I'm talking 8 years old, chat. This is the most fun I've had reading in a long time. Actively embracing the idea of legal trouble that could only end badly for the community. He was openly saying, I dare you, when it wasn't in my control. Ken was willing to jeopardize the entire Smash community with reckless abandon, and it would have happened had I not figured out how to stop the escalation without him. Given what I've seen of his character and heard about his reputation in other communities, this type of behavior from Ken was not unusual. Okay, time out. I feel like the interpretation that we had earlier where it feels like Alan might have been too lost in the Nintendo sauce. I truly feel like he is a well-meaning person. I don't think he's lying, I guess is the way I want to put it. Whether things turned out the way he's interpreting them is a different thing, but that is way different from straight up lying. I do not consider him a hard liar from what I'm reading. I also believe that Alan may have been lost in the Nintendo sauce. He was drinking the Kool-Aid, and he was not seeing things clearly. The way he thinks that Nintendo should have been trusted in not canceling SWT. The way he thinks that ignoring Nintendo is not the way to go about it and that you need to directly address them, I also disagree with. I am actually in line with Ken's thinking in this instance. Now, whether he said it like this or not, actually, I don't even really see anything too wrong with the way he's saying it either. In my mind, I'm like, yes, if Nintendo wants to pull some shit, at this point, let it happen. There's no point in talking to them. I've been on that train for a while, and I do not consider that me trying to jeopardize the community. Everything I do with this Nintendo shit, like the way it makes me mad, you guys can tell it actually makes me mad. It's because I care about the community. You know why? Because I came up on it since 2004. Brother, this was my family. This is the biggest source of all my friendships. I saw it get built from the ground up. I might have been a big part of helping build this community from the ground up, right? So, like, it is very, very near and dear to me. So when I see things testing that, when I see things attempting to break that down, I get mad. I am more concerned with the community than anything else when it comes to this scene. And I still feel that Ken's perspective of this, if I am interpreting it correctly from this text, is that I agree with him. if it was Nintendo that was trying to flag a legal issue. And Ken's response was to fucking dip and pretend they see nothing, hear nothing. I think that was the correct move. I do not think the correct move is approaching Nintendo and trying to talk to them about it. Now, I don't know the details. If I knew the details, I could be wrong. I could be wrong about this being the correct approach. But in general, I don't think this is entirely like a bad move by Ken. In fact, it might have been the best one. I also think that this is an insane jump of conclusion here. Willing to jeopardize the entire Smash community. Like, brother, this is the world we live in. You were also willing to jeopardize the Smash community by trying to talk to Nintendo. Right? Just because you think that your approach was the correct one does not mean that you get to say that you were helping and they were jeopardizing. Okay? Like, in my mind, ever bringing Nintendo into this is what's jeopardizing us. It is what has led to all of this. Let me be crystal clear. I am not expanding on the legal issue because even though I am leaving, I still don't want to hurt the community. Smash doesn't deserve that. I say let it rip, dude. No, I do believe he does care about the community. I say let it rip, though. Fuck Nintendo. They can't touch us. No, I'm just kidding. They can shut everything down. But they can shut my stream down, possibly. I don't know. At this point, we have to fight in the open. Like, bottom line, like, I am tired of having conversations behind closed doors. I am tired of relationships that we're building behind closed doors. No. Just let this shit fly in public now. Fuck it. Put everything out there. Let it fly in public. This is the only thing that has ever gotten us anywhere is the public shit. What has working in private done for us? Almost nothing. Almost fucking nothing. Nothing but hurt us. Put that shit in public. Like that anonymous Smasher 2 guy. That guy knew what he was talking about by putting all that shit in public. That guy has a huge fucking wang. I fucking guarantee it. Just monstrous wang. The dong on that man. That second call was perhaps one of the most frustrating. Yeah, well, Ken 100% would rather watch the world burn than to give up the cash cow he has. Redacted. Somebody said this. Okay. Ken would essentially cause the world to burn because of what he's doing. But we'll cross that bridge later. Okay, yeah, I think that's just not correct. Ken can easily convince events of that with no evidence of such whatsoever. Oh, that he will convince people that it's their fault. Okay. No, I don't consider... No, relax, chat. This isn't him saying this is evidence. He's literally just providing additional context. I think that's fine. Man, you guys are so heated. You guys are more heated than me. I should be more heated than you. You guys are just out for blood. Okay, one of the most frustrating conversations I've had where every attempt at collaboration or strategizing was met with stonewalling, refusal, or outright hostility. The only time I raised my voice, I think that may have been the first time I've done so in a business call, was in this conversation where I yelled something to the effect of, "Why won't you work with me?" Dude, I wish I could have heard these calls. Man, these are crazy. Work to brainstorm collaborative strategy. I raised my voice at that time, regret doing it, and own up to the fact that I did. Near the end of that hour-and-a-half call, Ken finally reveals to me that they have already sold sponsorships across primarily BTS streams in 2022, which I later found out was Papa John's. Let's go, Papa John's! And that's why none of the concepts I put forward worked, because it may impact that sponsor deal. Despite him yelling at me and treating me incredibly poorly for the entire discussion, I actually ended the call by thanking him for his time, for helping me understand his perspective better. The way he ends, "You were kind of hostile." That honestly reads like an exact Ken statement. That right there, I read that in Ken's voice. That is actually pretty... I would guarantee he actually said it like that. I believe I was too shocked to even retort. Also, SWT leadership claims that I threatened to shut down BTS 2023 operations. I believe they were referring to this particular interaction in that second call that I remember distinctly because of how pedantic and bizarre it was. Also of note, in that second call with Ken, I had come up with the idea of giving them a multi-year deal as the official analyst desk done remotely of the Panda Cup, so that every single stream we do, we'd hire them for $40,000. Ooh! Which I don't think he let me even tell him the number. I recall we had an exchange that sounded something like this. "Why don't you offer your deal 2 events for 2023? It's stupid good. They'll all take it. Hell, even we'd consider it because it's so good. Just leave the events in 2022 alone." Because of the Papa John's deal, probably. Alan, we could do that. We can do that. Sure, but let me clarify something with you. According to you, every event we offer this to in 2023 will sign with us, right? Right. Okay, so in this hypothetical situation, if they'll all sign with us next year, then BTS would be making less revenue in 2023 and possibly 2024 if we keep this up, right? He says, yeah. This sounds like Ken. So if BTS took a multi-year contract as the analyst desk of Panda Cup starting in 2022, BTS would make more money than if they streamed every event in 2022. Probably, yeah. So why doesn't it make more money work for you? Because that's not what we want. Oh! Ken! Talk to them! Talk to them, Ken! I know what you want. I'm reading that and I know exactly what you want. I don't even have to ask. I know exactly what you want. I don't even have to read the rest. It's not about money for you. You care about the scene. I knew it. It's about not getting fucking Nintendo involved, taking that Papa John's money. Doesn't matter if you lose out on it. The same reason they picked us up for the very first summit without any preconceived, like, success. Like, no pre-established success for such a thing. And they still did it. Why? Because they fucking like Smash. That conversation's true. I don't care if it's not a screenshot. That conversation's 100% true. That's exactly how it went. That's not what BTS wants. They don't just want more money. They're holding it down for the Smash community. Now you see why I got so pissed when people were yelling at BTS for what? Like robbing the community, being a scam, making money off the community, off the community's backs. That shit pissed me off so much because of shit like this. Like you can see how much they have our backs. Following that call with Ken, I brainstormed for days to figure out any way I could prevent escalating that legal issue any further until I finally figured it out. Change everything we've been doing up until this point. I worked on incorporating feedback from TOs and BTS and spent a full 2 weeks completely reorganizing the back end of the Panda Cup into version 2. Doing financial modeling, getting approvals, and iterating on it. This completely new system was designed for two main purposes. To allow an option for events to have as much freedom as possible, which is a common thread in our early conversations with TOs, yes. To not interfere with or harm existing business relationships with BTS, okay? Now that I figured out how to avoid harming BTS or overlapping with them in any way, I was able to successfully stop the legal issues from escalating by stepping around them. The legal issue is still there, just won't be the center of attention for a long time or ever, hopefully. I am so confused. I wish I could know what the legal issue is. I wish I could know. Like, I wonder if anyone is like so deep in like the hierarchy of Smash Illuminati, which doesn't exist, by the way. But like, if I'm like tier 1, no shit, right? But there's like tier 0. There's like tier 0.5. That probably goes further to the TO level. And since I'm not a TO, I don't know everything like that. But I don't know this. I wonder if there's someone who does. Don't let Blur tell you that he knows. Blur might just say he knows what the legal issue is just because he wants to be the guy that is perceived to know what the legal issue is. Don't trust him. He doesn't know. He has no idea. I will not even feed Blur's ego by asking him if he knows. The legal issue is still there. It just hopefully wouldn't get any attention. Plus, the added bonus was that the new version fit even easier into the current Smash ecosystem. So I wanted to invite BTS Mainstage onto the Panda Cup and to take that opportunity to apologize for the second call being so rough, to give any additional clarity for my words, and to show them how we redesigned the Panda Cup based on their feedback in the calls. I believe I made at least 4 attempts to reach out to various members of BTS in order to have that discussion. I did not hear back from them. I would not be surprised. Here's the ghost. Hey, Ken, just finished figuring out some stuff on our end today. It looks like main stage may be possible for the Panda Cup now. Let me know if you'd be interested in having a conversation about what that could look like. I'll shoot you out. All the detailed documentation for you to read over. Would be great to have you all on board. Okay, now here's Mikey talking. Okay, I swear if Mikey mentions his match against my Samus, I'm gonna lose my shit. I'm team Allen after this. If Mikey mentions beating my Samus in any of these conversations, it's over for me. So Mikey says, "Hi, sorry about the calendar mix-up. We had a conversation with Cact today and let him know that the date swap scenario was what would work best for us, but it seems like we each believe that the other had talked to you guys about it. Just wanted to clarify whether that was still an option for you. I figured some wires got crossed. It's most certainly an option on the table for us while we explore more potential venues. And I'll emphasize not taking the first weekend. Will do my best. Hey, Mikey, long time since we chatted. Hope you're the right person to go about. Oh, I feel kind of bad. This is just getting ghosted. Oh. Okay, this is just them asking about the same thing. And then no response. I guaranteed it was just like radio silence on purpose from BTS, right? Because when a company doesn't want to work with another company, what they tend to do is they just tend to ghost, right? It's just like radio silence the whole time, right? Like that's what companies do when they don't want to work with people. Have you guys ever heard of another company just completely not responding to any messages despite multiple attempts to like, I don't know, like maybe like apply for a license to play their video game at a tournament and like what that lack of response implies? Have you guys ever heard of that? Me discussing the second call with Ken with a colleague. Any sort of deal where they aren't mainstream is a no. I offered a multi-year third-party production deal with them. Even straight said no, they don't want the money. Like this is, all of this is reading more like they just don't want to be involved with Nintendo. Like just imagine this. I'm just painting a picture here. Let's say BTS says, yes, we will be the secondary stream. We will be the analyst desk, etc. But now, because they are doing this, they are now working with Nintendo officially. And then let's say a few months later, they decide to run Smash Summit 15. And then Nintendo's like, because now BTS is hard on their radar, they're like, whoa, BTS, you were doing the secondary analyst desk with us. What's this shit you got going on over here? Now we can't pretend to not see it. Now we see it. We want that. Or we want that to stop, right? That's all it's inviting. That is not worth the money for BTS. I don't care, right? Like, this is just making perfect sense why they were saying no. And do you, in writing, want to tell the Nintendo, like, I'm going to say it, like, Panda was their enforcement dogs. Do you want to tell them that this is the reason you don't want to work with them at all? I think you just ghost. I think that's the right move. They would not sell us the rebroadcast rights because there's no way our broadcast could be made so differently as to be a different product than the BTS mainstream. They only sell rebroadcast rights to streams that won't compete with theirs, like alternative language or streamers like Ludwig. Oh, what about me? What about me? BTS has an overarching strategy with the Smash community that is incongruous with any strategy we put forward. There's no deal we can make with them that will make them happy unless they are the stream for these events in 2022. They also refuse to discuss hypothetical situations. They also don't care what happens in 2023. Okay, I think that's a misinterpretation. Note, though, we did end up working with BTS multiple times this year. For example, at the Panda Cup event where Panda was in charge of the broadcast, we completed their sponsored deliverables for Papa John's. What was the Panda Cup event? Was it Gommel? The broadcast team did everything they needed for the event to get paid in full. To be on the summit. While my intention had no malice or ill intent in my conversations with Ken, perception is what truly matters. I will own up to that publicly, and I truly apologize to the BTS staff, except Ken. I apologize to everyone except my haters that my conversation with Ken was perceived in the manner it was. I wish you accepted any of my multiple attempts to make peace, explain myself, or apologize, but I hope you now understand that I have not now nor ever had any intent of harming you or sicking Nintendo on you. Additionally, like this is what's weird, right? Like what Alan is saying, it's like it checks out that he believes these things. I have not once felt throughout this conversation or throughout this statement that he is bold-faced lying. I think he's actually misinterpreted a lot of shit. And this comes down to him and Ken and how they interpreted their conversation. I could see Ken feeling like, dude, you are batshit. What do you mean? You were definitely threatening me. And then Alan is looking at this like, dude, what the fuck? You were batshit. Why the fuck were you yelling at me? Like, they're literally both thinking that the other person is batshit. But I do believe that, like, just based on everything I'm reading, I am understanding where Ken was coming from. And frankly, like, when it comes to dealing with the community, I feel like neither of them are lying. But when it comes to dealing with the community, I feel like Ken's intentions were better for us overall, straight up. Additionally, after we heard some wild rumors spreading from my one-on-one conversations with Ken, we did everything we could to dispel the rumors, and we internally decided to always speak with TOs in groups of 3 to make sure we can corroborate anything in case of misconceptions or misunderstandings. Oh, that's a good idea. That has been procedure from the last 4 to 5 months now. However, let me also say this publicly. Along with SWT, BTS stands to gain quite a bit by taking Panda and the Panda Cup down, especially after you lost your contract with Dota. Many major events in 2023 that are normally streaming on BTS have already confirmed to us that they'd stream on Panda's channels because the package we offered was better for them up front, guarantee sponsorships. A position we were pushed into by Ken's refusal to collaborate or work together from day one. Yeah, but I see the reasons for not working that. BTS was standing to lose a lot of money next year from community streams, and you knew that. Plus, with Panda's sales team... Panda's sales team landing deals in every major category, you wouldn't be able to sell against events next year because the categories will have been filled first. Don't pretend for a second like you were a casual outside observer of the whole situation. All right, well, now Alan's doing the heavy implying that this was an inside job to take it out on Panda. Yeah, I don't feel like that's true. I could see them feeling like their next year is a struggle, but I don't think the way they go about fixing that is to try to, like, shut down Panda. I don't believe that at all. One more thing. I looked the other way when I heard Ken was trying to get TOs to turn on us. I turned the other cheek when I found out BTS was threatening to pull Papa John's sponsorship from events that worked with us. A Papa John sponsorship, which, by the way, Nintendo never had any issues with. Oh, I'm so grateful for Nintendo. That's so cool of them. That's sweet. That's so good of them to let people give us money, finally, in one time. Despite all of that, I was still trying to work with you, extending olive branch after olive branch. And for what? For BTS's current leadership, who, again, I have never met or spoken to, publicly condemning me and speaking in terms like they were personally involved. You could have had a single civilized adult conversation with me. And Ken, even though he's no longer with BTS, he's still trying to poison the well from afar. I've been told he tweeted that Panda's NDAs are about real estate and don't provide any protection. Turns out, after double checking specifically Ken's NDA with multiple lawyers, he just didn't read past the first line. The NDA is standard, perfectly normal, and legally sound. Ken has been encouraging people to violate solid NDA without harming himself in any way. Encouraging people to break NDA is responsible and reckless. Ken tweets about it. Okay. I will... That's just following you regardless. Yeah, right. Ken has been both publicly and privately turning people against Panda for months. October 7th. Oh, this is an old tweet. Is it crazy to think that the official competition for a game should not be run through a team org, let alone one that is actually competing in the event itself? Any TO with actual tournament or organizational experience is a better option. Regardless of whether there is actual bias, a team org should not have control of the schedule, format, funding, seating, etc. of their own players in the biggest events of the year. No pro league or circuit that cares about the competitive integrity in anything can justify this. I agree, but I also did not care. This was like, this is house rules, right? Like, we're all friends. This is what I used to think. Like, we're all friends here. We're all community. I'm going to trust it, right? It's like me seeding my own tournament. Would you guys let me do that? The answer is yes, because you know me. And you know my stake in the scene, and whatever. And if I seed myself too high, then you all get to yell at me. Whatever, right? Like, okay, obviously a way different example, but dude, you know what? You know what? When Mango got seeded like 8th, and then IBDW got seeded 2nd, did IBDW even earn that seed? Think about it, chat. Think hard. Why does Plup keep making deep runs? Is it because he's good, or he's getting easy brackets? You think about that, chat. Think about it. I truly believe the people and staff at BTS are non-malicious, and all of their misconceptions stem from Ken. In fact, I feel like a large number of misconceptions, even beyond BTS, about my or Panda's intentions are due to Ken. Damn, he fucking hates Ken. Nobody I've ever met at BTS has misinterpreted my words or have been anything but professional and kind, except Ken. So I'm not looking to condemn their staff members whatsoever. To strong-arming and the first 3 weeks. We're almost done, chat. More than any other time period of the Panda Cup, I am sure that this is when any misunderstandings could have arisen. When we first got the green light in March 2022 to begin preparation to launch the Panda Cup, I was beyond excited to finally talk about something I'd been working on for 4 years. Same day we got approval, I set meetings with the first few TOs thinking they would see me and Panda as a collaborative partner and as an ally of the community. As a cooperator looking out for their best interests, I thought their track record spoke for itself. This was not the case. TOs by nature are a careful bunch, and many of them have been burned by others before, so it turns out they're constantly looking behind themselves for an ambush even when there isn't one coming. I wonder why that is. If you were to just pick one reason, just one word, that could possibly be the reason for why TOs are this careful, just one. Tell me if you need a hint. I can get you on a hint. Ken. Yes, it's Ken. Ken, exactly. Okay, no, jokes aside, it's Nintendo. It's not Ken. All right. Things were moving fast behind the scenes. I was new to TO negotiations. A specific skill set unique from any other I found. And I was overly excited to get things going. I know my intent was always to be honest and truthful, but with things changing so quickly, my passion overflowing, I may have given off the wrong impression to a handful in those early talks. With my passion overflowing. That's what I say to my girl before I get laid. It's a killer, chat. For example, I heard that at one point that when I made changes to my pitch based on feedback given to me by TO1 and then talked to TO2, TO1 found out and felt I had lied to them because I didn't have time yet to update them on the changes I made for them. Oh man, the TOs talked. Yo, chat, like, look, all I'm seeing here is that we take care of our own. Like, I am so proud of the TOs. Like, granted, this is kind of fucked up for what Alan was trying to do here, right? I believe him. I believe he was trying to go do good here. But all I'm seeing is that the TOs fucking talk. They're just a unit. They're a unit. They're the Rebel Alliance, straight up. You can't fuck with them, dude. You just can't. Yeah, I'm reading Naive on Nintendo's intentions, not on Alan being evil. That's what I've been reading. Hey, Hugs, TLDR? Dude, come on, man. It's 32 pages. Come on, man. I'll give it TLDR later, maybe. After those first 3 weeks, I slowed down with the help of some other staff members and started figuring out how to approach TOs in a more clear and concise manner. That makes sense. Made it way harder to have any misunderstandings or miscommunications. Due to the fluctuant nature of things back then, I promised these early TOs that I would back up my commitments with personal finances so that even if things didn't pan out the way I said they would, I would do right by them. I've even said the same thing in our internal teams. Put our own personal funds in a hardware division on multiple occasions this year alone to keep the lights on. I did everything I could to reassure TOs that I am looking out for their best interests. There's no ambush behind them. The Panda is for real. Okay. I didn't receive any feedback from TOs, directly or to my staff at that time, that I did or said things that made them uncomfortable. I didn't receive any feedback from TOs, directly or to my staff at the time, that I did or said things that made them uncomfortable. In fact, the feedback that I received was glowingly positive, so I figured everything was going well. For every single discussion with TOs for 2023, I had 2 other team members along with me to listen in and help me, even sending me messages mid-meeting to make sure I clarify things so there was no confusion. I went back and asked those team members again over the last few days, they reiterated to me that they never once heard me say anything that could be misconstrued as threats or strong-arming. Conversations for 2023, not a single TO we reached out to said they would not want to talk or listen to us. In fact, of our early negotiations, only 2 out of 14 events we spoke to declined joining us after the initial pitch. Every TO we've talked to with has been polite and straightforward. Okay. To the TOs. These are my boys. These are, if anybody can be considered the most important people in the community, no, it's not the players. No, it's not Blur. It's the TOs. Unless Blur's TOing, then it's Blur. The most thankless job in the scene. So speak softly, speak carefully, Alan. If I did do something to you where I seem to be mean, threatening, strong-arming, or otherwise seemingly out to hurt your event, I implore you to please let me know by email, since I'm not using Twitter anymore, what I said or did to make you feel that way. I want to know how I screwed up so I can never do that again in whatever I explore after this. I do not understand how I could have caused that impression when I tried my best to be professional, honest, and straightforward in my interactions with each of you. I had no indication from any of our interactions that this was the case. I truly believe that if there are TOs out there that do feel this way, that it's a misunderstanding, and I hope, even though I'm no longer involved with Panda, that I can at least clarify those interactions for you and clear my own conscience. So how do I prove that I didn't strong-arm or threaten events that I didn't want to join us? Well, here's a dump of screenshots to show you examples of my interactions with TOs that declined joining the Panda Cup this year and that some accepted, so you can have a perspective of my conduct and communications. I am including these to show that I have been active in correcting possible miscommunications long before any of this was made publicly available. Aaron, TO of Riptide. Okay. Hey, Aaron. Appreciate you getting back to me. There may have been miscommunication about timing because I last recalled I'd mentioned about our time constraints and that you had agreed to let me know your possible interest in continuing the conversation within a 1-week time frame. Wasn't aware you intended to wait after LTC until the message you mentioned that. Regardless, hope LTC went well for you. I'd highly encourage you to have any questions in future. Best of luck with Riptide. Aaron, I know y'all will kill it, so I have no doubt it'll be a great event. I apologize if there was miscommunication from my end. Given how hectic my time that time was. It's hard for me to remember clearly everything that was said. I'll be sure to reach out to you directly in the future when I have questions or need clarification. Thanks for the good luck. Same to you. Okay. I'm not going to read all these. This is his conversation with Tio. I believe that they're going to sound nice. Okay. Sheridan and Bobek. The boys. We're going to full screen this bad boy. You guys are just going to trust me reading the rest of this. It's off screen, but just bear with me. Truly appreciate your patience and feedback cooperating with us as we built out our initial packages for events. Thanks for your help. We figured out 2 packages of support that we'll be offering with one designed for minimal intervention. Genesis not asking for the least amount of intervention. Makes sense. The minor package that BTS accepted last week allows events to keep their own broadcasts, run of show sponsors otherwise, while still taking part in the Panda Cup circuit. With Genesis around the corner, we revisited our plan and decided it's best for us to not rush into anything. We only have one shot at a first impression with the community, after all, and we want to do them proud. So we'd like to revisit this discussion for 2023 when things can calm down for you both. Okay. I've attached the deck and extended document details for here for your perusal. Welcome any feedback or thoughts you have, but I know you guys are slammed right now, so don't feel like it's necessary. Hopefully, when we start chatting, okay. So this is a lot of showing his dealings with the TOs. Me connecting 2 TOs directly to Nintendo, both of who events ended up going on to get license agreements, but were not on the Panda Cup. Events getting license agreements that were not on the Panda Cup? Which ones are those? I would love to know. Is it what? What would they be? Here's another email I sent to Nintendo. Regarding the status of events in our pre-launch negotiations, the claim that I had to threaten events to join doesn't make sense when we ended up doing far better than anticipated in our first year. Also shows that there was never any request made of Nintendo to take down events that said no. They were on board with what events joined or did not join. The offer we gave most events was really good. They saved tons of money for infrastructure, had their broadcasts upgraded, casters paid for, sponsors brought on. Oh, we're finally finding out what the Nintendo deal was about. So this is interesting. Tons of money for infrastructure. Okay. Broadcasts upgraded, casters paid for, sponsors brought on, etc. What do they mean by sponsors brought on? Like they brought sponsors and the sponsors paid the events directly? Off the top of my head, we spent over $90,000 supporting one event and $50,000 on another. We sent staff to help them with setup, tear down, film interviews with their attendees to put a face to the event, and more. There were some bumps along the way while we figured out our footing, hence why the deal was so good, but they were minor and we executed well. There's no reason to threaten someone to take a deal like that. It just doesn't make sense. In my talks with TOs, I've reiterated many, many times to them that Panda does not want the full page. We want 10% of a much, much bigger pie. Right, okay. Where we all end up with more pie than otherwise. Everyone gets to eat more, and that's what Panda is all about. It says in multiple conversations. Right. I did hear multiple times that Panda's goal was to bring in the normies of the Nintendo fan base into the Smash world, therefore growing the Smash community. I don't know if that's a good idea. I don't feel like that's a good idea. I don't think that does it much for us. Not like that, at least. I will maintain again that I did not strong-arm, threaten, or otherwise try to pressure. Okay. Nintendo. A big question we got all the time is, what is Nintendo providing that makes this partnership worth it? Yes. Nintendo supports events in different ways. Every way about helping them save money and become more stable. Commentary support, setups, production at times, staffing, shipping, etc. I've seen Nintendo spend more money on the Smash community to help save events money this year than any other organization in the world outside of the Panda Cup. They're saying no other org did that. Are they saying that Papa John's wouldn't be an org though, so even if Papa John's put in more money, not necessarily an org. Okay. Every penny they spend is towards the community. They can't help every event. Oh, they can't? They can't. But they truly tried. Why am I getting a ding dong? I am not answering that. Is it Nintendo? All good. Yeah, no, we're fine. It's not Nintendo. We're in the clear. We're in the clear. It's Alan. It's actually Dignitas dropping off my mouthpiece for the fight. It's going to be a Dignitas mouthpiece. It's not Papa John's, chat. It's not Papa. The Papa's not here. They can't help every event, but they truly try their best to help prop them up. Anyone who thinks Nintendo only gave their blessings or gave us a license and a thumbs up has no idea how much they've done behind the scenes. Don't care. Nope. Don't care. Working with Nintendo is challenging. They have high standards for their partners and care deeply about how their IPs are used. There's a lot of red tape to navigate, even for people used to red tape. The design of the Panda Cup was to help simplify the process, made it much easier for events to obtain licenses within a reasonable time frame. Every single competitive video game in the world that is the size of Smash has publisher regulations in order to do major commercial activity, and that's a fact. Smash just never really had meaningful major commercial activity in it. That's part of the problem. Hold up. Whose fault is that, by the way? Like, I just want to point that out. Like, when we say we've never had any kind of, like, major commercial activity, like, whose fault is that? Because if Smash never has that major commercial activity, then it'll never be able to sustain full-time careers for more than a handful of people. Yes. We realize that. The community would continue to see the most passionate, most talented people leave to pursue jobs where they can actually raise a family or make long-term career. Again, whose fault is that? But the worry is that if Smash had publisher regulations and commercial licensing without proper community oversight, then we risk losing the identity of the Smash community, which wouldn't be worth it in the end. So this became the cornerstone of the Panda Cup. I see what they're trying to do, sure. We take the red tape, the corporate limitations, the months and months and years of approvals in exchange for the rest of the community having freedom, keeping their identity while being able to do major commercial activity, helping to take events from barely breaking even to profitable, so they can support the dedicated people who make them a reality, and that careers would begin to pop up throughout the community. We didn't want the whole pie and never have. So how much did Nintendo directly pay Panda to do this? Zero. How much did Panda pay Nintendo? Zero. They supported Panda on the back end, are partners with Panda, and help facilitate the Panda Cup. Despite popular belief that they'd get in the way, they never once said no to a sponsorship opportunity for the Panda Cup. Within 5 months, the Cup signed more than $2 million in sponsorships and counting. Every single sponsor said they wouldn't have come if Nintendo wasn't supporting the way they were doing. I agree. There's no doubt that sponsors would jump. Like, this is actually really cool to hear that millions came in instantly simply because they felt they were allowed to. Like, this is just to me, this is not me saying, "Oh, Nintendo, you're amazing. Thank you." No, this is me saying, "Hold up. You're telling me this is just the tip of the iceberg of people that have been wanting to work with us? They're just sitting there waiting. They're just waiting for an opportunity to work with us because they know we got it like that." This is year zero. Panda Cup spent all that money on the Panda Cup and Panda Cup finale event. The finale was going to go big. Panda paid for the LACC, the LA Convention Center, and Novo without outside support because we thought the Smash community needed to see what Panda could do for them when things actually worked out. The finale had hundreds of setups, arcade games, a carnival section, Jesus, gacha machines, and crane games, completely free to enter. A finale that Panda had to postpone because of the death threats to our staff and even contractors, player boycotts, and dropouts, all thanks to the lies from BTS and the SWT leadership team. I think this is not quite how it's being explained. People have been questioning the value of everything we've done this year, so here it is. Now I lay it all out for you. Okay, I've been a part of the Smash community since 2007. True. I've served as a volunteer moderator for the original boards. True. Backroom member helping discuss rule sets. Yeah, there's no question. In my mind, I do believe that he has cared about the community for sure. Discussing rule sets, a TO, a commentator, an event organizer, a community leader, and many other roles over the years. Even when I supposedly retired from Smash when I went to graduate school, I found myself returning after I finished going to my local tournament straight out of work, still in my work clothes. The foundation of Panda was for the goal of helping those around us, treating people fairly, and growing the community that I've been proud to be a part of for so many years. Over the last 9 years, I've worked incredibly hard to make a company with the goal of creating career opportunities in the space where there were none before. To allow people to go full-time to support Smash and fighting games, to pour their passions into a sustainable, long-term effort. I made sure that any success that Panda had seen, any investment we've ever received, and every time we've done something great, the end result was the same, put all of it back into the community. I remember reading a funny tweet once that said the esports industry is a losing racket, and the only respect-worthy people are the ones that take VC money and give it to their homies. That's literally a slime tweet. That is a slime tweet. I laughed mostly because it made me realize I built a company that never took VC money and yet still poured millions of dollars into the homies and was sustainable. That is venture capital money. Supporting everyone that worked incredibly hard and that will always be grateful to have called my team and my friends. I'm pretty proud of that. But now the mob mentality has dragged me down to the point that even my closest friends can't defend me publicly without backlash. If you skip to the end, please don't. But since you are here, I am no longer CEO of Panda thanks to the lies, falsehoods, and bandwagon character attacks. My life and the lives of many of my family are at risk. My team was harassed to the point of resigning, many in tears, and they may never have a chance to pursue a full-time career in Smash again. I don't think that's true. That last part. But that should have never been on the table, okay? The doxing, all that shit, terrible. SWT leadership organized and coordinated a lie about the circumstances surrounding their status of license agreement, making up a villain to blame it all on and come out as the heroes on top. Past and present, BTS leadership chose to corroborate it publicly for unknown reasons that definitely benefit from as well. So once again, I'm going to point out that when I read the SWT statement, I did not conclude that Panda had anything to do with the cancellation of SWT. I feel that SWT mentioned the Panda stuff because they felt it to be true and they felt it was dangerous for Panda to have all this control alongside Nintendo's blessing, pretty much making them the only game in town, which would not be good for our community as a whole. Reading this statement, I do feel there may have been some misinterpretation of Panda's, or at least Alan's, intentions, but I still think he was wrong overall. And I still feel that this should not, like, the way that he looked at Nintendo made me feel like he and Panda would have been the wrong people to have running this ship. That's not like my formal conclusion, but that's where I'm at right now in my quick thought. A former BTS leader took every opportunity to stonewall and obfuscate. It's hard for me to read that. Going so far as to dare legal action, not by Panda or me, that would harm the community, on top of even threatening to revoke sponsorships from events that considered working with the Panda Cup. In spite of this, I still try to make every effort to work with BTS. The goal of the Panda Cup was always about growing the entire Smash community, was never about my personal aspirations. I could believe that now, yeah. Our model always shared revenue with everyone outside the Panda, including events, casters, players, production, staffing, and more. 98% of the staff of Panda were people from the Smash and fighting game communities. I know. Agreed, yes. A monolith of our scenes that truly and honestly had the best interest of the community at heart, yet. Born from grassroots, yet professional and elevated in output. And that very same community tore it down in a matter of days. This cannot be who the Smash community becomes. Regardless of what my statement says, I do not want the same thing to happen to BTS or VGBC or to anyone. Please do not harass any groups or dox anyone. Correct. Agreed. And do not attack whoever you perceive to be the villain of the hour. Smash has to change. Smash has to be better than this. I've given almost 9 years of my life to serving this community. I've dedicated thousands of hours, worked every weekend, put aside starting a family, stepped away from a successful career that took 10 years to achieve. I think my longest real vacation in 9 years was 1 week. And over those 9 years of Panda, I've never paid myself or taken a dime. Just to make Smash into a stable, growing community and tier 1 esport, I truly believed in it. Money isn't why I did this. I started Panda and became a CEO for only one reason: give players careers and a field they're truly passionate about. I'm proud to say I did that. Now I'm the villain, the greedy corporate pig that wants to line his own pockets. The enemy of the community that I've sacrificed some of the best years of my life for. I'm so evil now that people are attacking my very home. I was able to create dozens of full-time jobs in one of the smallest niches of competitive gaming, an accomplishment only Panda has achieved at that scale. And despite that, I spent the weekend telling my friends and family to call the police to increase patrols at their homes. all over lies, false character attacks, and concerted harassment campaigns started from the people who directly profit by destroying the careers of over 100 people from their own community. This community was my life. Its success is all I've ever wanted. I can sleep soundly at night knowing that I spent the last 9 years doing everything in my power to help, not hurt those around me. But I cannot stand by while bad faith actors continue to poison the well and celebrate the destruction of what the Panda team has worked on for years. If I can't do it, I trust the people after me to do it. The incredible members of Panda and the Greater Smash community who love this more than life itself. The future's in your hands. Keep going. My conclusion, and this isn't final because I still have to read other things, right? But I do feel, at least currently, I had a different picture painted of Alan, and I feel like it was more naivety in his relationship with Nintendo. I do feel that Nintendo, and I have felt that Nintendo is the absolute most total villain of all this. I don't give a fuck that they paid a couple $1,000s to an event behind the scenes. Why are we in this position to begin with? We'd be having way more money if it wasn't for them. Anyway, I think things were said that were probably slightly miscommunicated, and I truly do believe that Alan does not believe he's lying. And I also don't believe that the other people believe that they are doing anything malicious. I think that they've all, I know the VGBC guys. I do not agree with Alan's interpretation of their actions. I do not agree with Alan's interpretations of Ken's actions. But let's go ahead and read. So I will start with Bobak, because you guys, he's the homie, and I trust Bobak more than, I'll literally say, I trust Bobak more than anybody involved. So, like, his word is going to be law to me as a person that I've known for a very, very long time and very, very closely. A lot of comments, including weird AIs, weird AI art of fiction. There you go. Enjoy. Okay, let's continue. All right, AI Shep. There you go. AI is in. All right, moving on. I got some shit to say. It starts here, I hope, right? I got some shit to say. Not going into detail. But from the very first moment Alan opened his mouth to the last time we spoke, nothing but snake-like sounds could be heard, like that shit in Harry Potter. Okay. Let me tell you about Bobak real quick, okay? Bobak is one of my best friends, somebody that I've known since like 2006. I don't think that there is anybody I know that is more in tune with their vibes on people than Bobak. Like, Bobak will tell you up front, I don't like this person. This guy gives me bad vibes, and he's been right about a lot of people. He doesn't just say he feels this way about everybody either. He's not like a negative person that just feels this way about people. He just trusts his vibes, and his vibes are often very sound. Now, I'm not saying that is law. I'm going to keep reading and seeing what other reasons he has for this. This is to say that there's no way Bobak is just saying this just to fit in or whatever. Like, Bobak is very regularly correct about people when he has an impression on them. I've had the misfortune of dealing with a lot of manipulative people in my life. So when I hear him talk, I was immediately put on guard. The gaslighting, the doubt he would cast on things I would say. The way he would play victim, saying he's not doing this for himself, etc., etc. Now, I will say this. Bobak has had a lot more conversations with Alan than I have. One thing for sure that was constantly reiterated in our calls was that SWT would be canceled. That SWT was blacklisted. That Gimmer was blacklisted. And it was only a matter of time before they were shut down, because trust me, I know. Trust me was a term he used a lot. Done. Done. This is Bobak talking. Bobak has spoken. Bobak is like that guy from The Mandalorian, the short guy who always said, I have spoken. That's it. I trust Bobak way more than anybody involved. There was no trust. He at one point called himself the savior of Smash on a call when he went on a rant about how great of a position he's in to do good for the community and how all his hard work is paying off to bring everyone together. Okay, I could see him saying that. Like, if all things turned out okay, this would have just been funny. Like, look, this isn't too far off from what Blur says all the time. Are you sure this isn't just a Blur quote? The savior of Smash? about how great of a position he's in to do good for the community and how all this hard work is paying off to bring everyone together. This is just blur. Yeah, no, this is why I'm saying, like, this part to me does not confirm anything evil. Because I've heard people I really like say this. Yeah, it's when things go bad that this shit looks real fucked up. Make no mistake, he had no plans on uniting the scene on a larger scale. He had no plans on propping Melee up, or how to onboard new players. His plan that he told us was to push ult way more to the masses and gain the casual audience go mainstream. In one call, it was confirmed that he was to be the licensee broker of the whole scene. Oh. Brother, that would not be cool. This is the exact reason I literally, when I talked to VGBC and Justin of SmashCon, and I said, I think the most important thing that was done with the Smash World Tour statement is mentioning Panda. And I told them this to their face. I said, I don't believe that Alan had anything to do with Nintendo's decision to shut you guys down. I really don't. I don't think he's got the kind of sway to do that. But then you guys still found a reason, and it might seem petty, but you found a reason to include his behavior with the rest of the scene so that Panda, not all of it, just specifically Alan, would go down with the ship because it was important that they were not left as the only game in town. So important, because if this happened to Smash World Tour and Panda just got to go on with no repercussions, it would spell doom for the scene based on everything that Gimmer and VGBC was saying about his behavior. So I congratulated, I said that was key. That was super important. Now reading this, I'm recognizing exactly how important that was. I do not like the vision that Alan had for the scene, considering all of this. This has the potential to be really, really bad for everyone. Correct. That means eventually, if you wanted to, you would have to be a part of the Panda Cup to get a license. One person having the keys. It's definitely not okay. Right. No matter who the fuck it is. Correct. Not even Blur. His vision didn't stop there. He also wanted to sanitize every event. Take the personality of each event and impose his own vision that he said was superior to what everyone else is trying to do at the moment. Yo, did they blacklist Hugs from commentating events? I gotta be blacklisted, right? If I'm not blacklisted, I'm gonna be upset. That means Nintendo never saw it. Right. By introducing an analyst desk or stats, which costs money to use, even if you were on the Panda Cup, give up your broadcast and any kind of creative vision you might have had. Be stamped with the Panda logo and taken over. This was something I personally was not okay with. There was too much at risk on our end to ever be okay with any of this, of his proposals. We had to take on all the financial burdens, the risk, and give up a lot of what we've worked on hard to do over the last 13 years, just so this fuck could ride on his donkey and claim it for himself. I can go on and on, but generally most of the shit he's saying in that 31-page garbage tweet is a lie. It's riddled with manipulative ways of speaking, and it's just more of what I expect of a guy who thinks he's the fucking savior of Smash. Damn, I must have gotten got, because the statement was actually like, it was at least convincing of his lack of maliciousness. But I trust Bobak, like I said. Bobak is... Y'all don't know him because Bobak refuses to be public like that. In fact, we had a rule at my old house where I generally was not allowed to include Bobak in any of my streams. And if I talked about him, it'd be like a joke about like some public interaction we had, but I couldn't talk about his business. He does not want to be public. But if he was, you all would know how much of a real ass dude he is. Like, he's one of the most real dudes on the planet. Like, if y'all could see it, you would know why I fully trust this man. One of the few I would 100% trust with saying all of this. Like, I do not, he does not have those kinds of motivations to be lying about this shit. This dude is real. Like, you know who's top two most real people I know? The other one's like Mango. He just doesn't lie about shit. Or he doesn't like put on a front, you know what I'm saying? He's not that kind of person. Bobag might be number 1 on my real list. I have to think through it. All right, Mike K is number 2. No. Okay, Blur number 1. One last thing I want to chime in on is about Ken. Ken is by far one of the most personally influential people I've ever met in my life. The guidance he's given us, the support, the professionalism that he's shown us has been something I will forever be thankful for. You want to talk about someone actually giving a fuck about the scene? Right, you saw me pop off earlier, chat. You saw me pop off when I read that. We wouldn't be where we are without him. Genesis as a whole would have probably gone under years ago. If it wasn't for him telling us where we were fucking up and how to do better. He's been an integral part of this scene, and I can confidently say that without BTS and his work there, we would be much worse off. This PJ deal quite literally allowed us to keep the lights on for G8. Let's go. He went to bat for the whole community every chance he got with no expectations of being paid back in any way because he truly loves the scene. Alan says this, but he's never been involved in the scene like claims to have been. He didn't even understand how tournaments operated. It's not about the money. It's about sending a message. In the end, though, we don't do this shit for money. True. We do this shit because we fucking love the games. We love the people that are involved. We would like money, sure. We all would like money, but we don't do it for that. Correct. Alan's vision was to impose his own fucked up sanitized version and shove it down everyone's throats while dangling a license over your head. G9 is coming up, and without BTS, we wouldn't be able to operate. Being on the Panda Cup meant giving that up and ending our years-long relationship with established members of the community for one person's greed and lust for being the man in charge. Fuck that. Now go register for G9. Oh, I'm retweeting the shit out of that. This guy runs Genesis. Okay, yeah, very well said, Ken. Let's read Ken's thread. Okay, there we go. Okay, we can start here. In the call that Alan threatened BTS multiple times, I reported the threats as the call was happening and directly after to LD. My boss at the time, LD was not on the call, but was there as I typed the transcript of it on Slack. Here's a screenshot of me doing just that. Dude, Alan's on the call, legit threatening me about 2023. Was on the call. Okay. To be clear, I did not yell or explode at... Yeah, this would not be a thing you'd talk about in real time, right? If you're plotting on some grand scheme to bury someone, you plot on it. You don't talk about it mid-call, etc. To be clear, I did not yell or explode at Alan at all. He was extremely hostile and exhausting to talk to. In fact, part of the reason I left BTS to join Team Liquid in June was because I never wanted to deal with Alan or Panda again. Oh my god. Panda themselves issued a statement saying they regret Alan threatening BTS, yet he completely denies it happened here. Actually true, yes. You don't accept your apology because even here you don't actually apologize. You even say accept Ken and only admit the conversation was perceived wrong. BTS refused to collaborate with Alan largely because of his conduct, not because of me. I simply reported the exact truth of the conversation, which LD and other BTS leadership can verify happened right after the call with Alan in March. I have not been publicly and privately turning people against Panda for months. I've simply been telling the honest story of what happened, which was threats and bullying that Panda, his own org, even admitted to happening. I am not some crazy boogeyman trying to take Panda down. I'm someone that cares about the Smash scene and knew this exact situation would play out like it did. Yes, the reason I didn't say shit since March when BTS was threatened was precisely because I didn't want to blow this up. As for the NDA talking about real estate, an absolutely hilarious thing to include in this, I'm more than willing to post the entire NDA if Panda allows me to. Multiple people have confirmed their NDAs have the real estate language in it. It's just a failed copy-paste job. Alan's account of the entire situation with BTS is so disjointed and riddled with lies it's difficult to respond. I don't even know where to start with it. This conversation transcript he posted with me is just not what happened. Full stop. Not even close. Seriously, what the fuck? Okay, I'm not gonna lie, it reads like something Ken would say, and honestly, I didn't even think it was bad. I thought it made Ken look good. I wasn't trying to get TOs to turn on Panda. They privately complain about Alan constantly to me. I'll let the other TOs say their own story about it, but at some point dealing with it took so much of my time I couldn't work on anything else for BTS. Right, they didn't like his conduct. They didn't trust him as a good representative to Nintendo, and what he was offering wasn't good enough. The SWT statement is largely accurate, at least the stuff about BTS. Anyone that knows the history between VGBC and BTS understands I would not say this unless it was the truth. Right. Yeah, like this is the thing you guys have to understand. I'll just say this right now. VGBC has been in contention with other orgs, other tournaments. Like there has been contention in the past. This is not a secret. Well, I don't know if it's a secret or not. So for these people to come out and back up VGC or VGBC, it should let you know how truthful it is. You know what I'm saying? Like they haven't just been, they're not cohorts. They're not buddy, let's do this shit together. That's not how it's been. I don't work for BTS anymore, but I still care about Smash more than any competition between orgs. When we first invited Alan to come to Summit and talk about the Panda Cup circuit in November 2021, the first thing out of his mouth was about how SWT was going to get shut down. Dozens of people heard it. Many can corroborate this. This next screenshot is nuts. I have no idea how to respond to this. Been running Smash events for 8 years. Been a part of many communities, including StarCraft and Dota. I think my relationship with track record speaks for itself. Yeah, I agree. That whole talk about him jeopardizing the community. To all Panda Global employees, I'm sorry this guy happened to you. For those that are departing it, I hope you find good homes elsewhere. I think they will. I honestly don't think that nobody's going to like blacklist them or anything. You don't deserve to have your careers and brand and the brand you built destroyed by one person. Okay, well, this is going to be a hard YouTube video. This is like 2-3 hours. This is me at one point kind of like hearing out Alan, because I think that's what you should do with statements. You should hear them out, read them with an open mind. I think that I was basing my interpretations accurately. I still felt... Okay, yo, thanks. Welcome to Sub. I still felt that Alan was at best, misguided and naive in his relationship with Nintendo, and misguided in his approach to helping out the scene, and misinterpreting a lot of interactions. But I think all of that goes out the window literally the moment that Bobak spoke. Like, Ken I know very well. I've known him for a while. I don't know him super well because we haven't hung out like together like as much as I've hung. Like, I'm talking, I've known Bobak since 2006 in the gutters of Smash. Like, I know that guy. But I do trust Ken. He has never shown me any kind of questionable behavior. Other than the time that he took my Roast of Hugo Gonzalez t-shirt and then used it to eat food with it and wipe his hands with it and then threw it in the trash. Okay, that's the only time that Ken's behavior has been questionable, okay, to me. But not only that, but he also told the Dota team, he showed them the Roast of Hugo Gonzalez t-shirts that they couldn't sell because no one bought them. Nobody wanted them. Thanks, guys. Appreciate the fandom. And then he told the Dota players that I was the #1 Smash player in the world so that they could possibly take the shirts off of his hands. And they agreed because they believed him. Okay, so proof that Ken lies. Proof that Ken lies. He told them that I was the best Smash player in the world and they believed. But then again, this was right after DreamHack. DreamHack Dallas 2019, very believable. So my only beef with Ken revolves around his treatment of my Roast of Hugo Gonzalez t-shirts, okay? With the Roast of Hugo Gonzalez shirt. I know, but seriously, to conclude, I do believe Ken, absolutely. I do believe 100% that he has had the interest of the Smash scene in mind at all times. He's only done good for the scene. I know he's willing to give up more money-making opportunities for the scene. In fact, that is exactly what it takes to decide to pick up Melee for Summit as opposed to any other esport he could have picked up. Right? That alone proves everything. And the fact that they've kept us for 14 years, chat, or 14 events, not 14 years. So I believe him. I absolutely believe Bobak. I take back any kind of interpretation I had about the original Allen statement, and I'm fully on board with Bobak. Someone I trust fully, and I believe is 100% truthful. Exclamation point YouTube. Check out the YouTube. Any of the socials. I put out good shit. The reply is, to be clear, are you saying you were on the call between Hotbit and Alan that they were arguing about as the unnamed person or whatever? Oh, Mikey said yes. And he's on the call. Oh, done deal. That's a smoking gun. See, Alan had an emotional statement that would make me feel bad about feeling a certain kind of way. Bobak, Mikey, Ken, they had smoking guns. I have no reason to not believe it. I have no doubt that they were telling the truth. Whereas with Panda, I was like, maybe I was wrong, but I'm not 100% sure. Sorry, with Alan. With these guys, I'm 100% on board. Like I have every reason to trust them. Done deal. Case closed. Let's see who the fuck is streaming. Who do we got? We got Mango. We got Blur. Mango has already told me don't raid me. He says he doesn't need the viewers. Blur is live. Let's go to Blur. Blur's going to have some great things to say, I promise you. Okay. All right. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Peace. Good night.